I told my fiancé I didn't want my mom at our wedding. Now half my family won't talk to me. I know how this sounds, but I need to say it out loud somewhere because if I vent to anyone else, I'm gonna get the same condescending look I've been getting from my aunt, my brother, even my fiancé's cousin I barely talk to. So here it goes. I don't want my mom at my wedding. Not, maybe she shouldn't give a speech. Not, let's seat her far away. I mean, I don't want her there. At all. And now it's turned into this whole family civil war and everyone thinks I'm heartless. But they didn't grow up with her. I did. She wasn't physically abusive. She wasn't a junkie. She wasn't some cartoon villain. She just made everything about her. Every single time. When I was 10 and got a solo in choir, she cried louder than anyone else and then told everyone afterward how she used to sing in school and had to give it up for motherhood. When I graduated college, she wore a white dress to the ceremony and asked the dean if she could stand on stage next to her graduate. When I got engaged, she posted a photo of her wedding ring next to mine with the caption, "Like mother, like daughter." Before I'd even told extended family, I said yes. I can't explain what growing up like that does to you. It's not even the events. It's the constant rewiring of your brain to expect disappointment. Like I'd get a small win and before I could enjoy it, my stomach would go tight thinking, how is she gonna make this about herself? Anyway, when I got engaged to Mark, I told him I was going to therapy. Real therapy this time. Not self-help TikToks or journaling. Actual therapy. I told him that part of this process was figuring out what kind of wedding I wanted, not just the kind that would keep my mom pacified. And one session turned into 30. And somewhere around session 18, I realized I didn't want her there. I didn't want her in the room when I walked down the aisle. I didn't want to see her during our vows, making her dumb, shocked face for attention. I didn't want her crying louder than me during the daddy-daughter dance. I didn't want her using my wedding to stage her comeback or whatever storyline she's brewing, so I told Mark. I said, I don't want her there. I know it's dramatic, but I want our wedding to be about us. Just this once. Can it please not be about my mom? He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, whatever you need to feel safe and happy, I'll back you up. Cool, done, simple, right? Wrong. We made the guest list. I didn't put her on it. When my aunt, her sister, noticed, she thought it was a mistake. I told her it wasn't. I was honest, maybe too honest. I said, I don't want mom there. She makes things about her. I want a wedding, not a one-woman talent show. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, I've been called a narcissist, a brat, a fake feminist, a disappointment, a follower, because clearly Mark is controlling me, and a selfish daughter who's ruining the family. My brother called me a psycho, then texted me a screenshot of a meme that said, cutting off your parents doesn't make you healed. It makes you weak. My dad, divorced from her, is staying neutral because it's not his place. Mark's mom said she respects my choice, but still sent me 3 YouTube videos about healing mother wounds through forgiveness. And then my mom, oh God, my mom. She showed up to my work. She straight up walked into the dental office I manage and sat in the waiting room with a bouquet of white lilies. I thought someone's grandma had come early for her cleaning. Nope, it was her, just sitting there, like she didn't drop a bomb on my life. She said, you really meant it? You really don't want me there? I said, not here, not now. She said, but I bought my dress. It looks like the one J-Lo wore at the Met Gala. I said, that's exactly why you're not coming. She started crying, real crying. Loud, gasping, ugly crying. In my workplace. The front desk girl froze. The techs all went quiet. One of our patients walked out. I ended up having to cancel the rest of the day's appointments and tell her to leave. She did eventually, but not before saying, fine, but don't expect me to be at your next wedding either. Yeah, that's where we are now. After the whole dental office meltdown, I thought she'd simmer down. Like maybe she just needed to blow up once and then let it go. My mom's the kind of person who needs an audience. Without one, she fizzles out. Except this time, she brought her own audience. A few days after that scene, Mark's cousin texts him a video and just says, dude, what is this? It was my mom, sitting in her garden, glass of rosé in hand, camera angled all tragically from below like she was filming an indie documentary. She starts off with, hi family. This is going to be hard for me to say, but I feel like you deserve to hear it from me directly. And then she proceeds to explain, in a 6-minute video, that I've distanced myself from family, that I'm being manipulated, that I've always had emotional issues but they're getting worse, and that she's concerned about my well-being. She finishes it off by saying, I hope this wedding still happens, but if it does, I won't be there, not by choice, but because my daughter has cast me aside like garbage. Cast me aside like garbage. You would think she just got kicked off The Bachelor the way she looked into the camera. Mark was pissed, not just because she sent it, but because she sent it to his family, people she barely knows. People who've never even seen her in person. Hell, his Uncle Phil thought she was dead because we never talk about her. So now his family's all involved. They're trying to be polite, but you can tell they're confused. His aunt actually called me and asked, "Is everything okay? It just sounds like there's been a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding? Like I accidentally forgot to invite my own mother? I asked Mark to send a message clearing it up. He said he'd handle it. He texted the family group chat with, "Hey everyone, just a heads up. OP and I are working through some personal boundaries with her family. Please don't take sides. We want the wedding to be joyful and drama-free. Thanks for understanding. Respectful, direct, adult." But of course, my mom screenshotted that too and posted it on Facebook with the caption, "They want joy. I gave them life." My cousin tagged me under it and just wrote, "WTF is this performance? Y'all, this woman thinks she's Beyonce in Lemonade. I should have blocked her. I should have blocked her years ago." But here's the part that actually broke me. That night, I got a call from my grandma, the one person in our family who's always been on my side. She said, "Honey, just invite her. You know she won't even stay the whole time." I said, "That's not the point." She said, "I know, but sometimes peace is more important than being right." That one hit me, because I don't want to be right. I want to not hate my wedding. I want to look at my photos 10 years from now and not flinch. But now I feel like I'm being punished for wanting that. Even Mark's starting to ask if we should just do a tiny courthouse ceremony and be done with it. And I'm honestly considering it. But then, wouldn't that be exactly what she wants? To make it about her again. To make me change my plans, my memories, my life, around her ego. I cried in the Target parking lot for like 40 minutes yesterday. People were walking by my car and I was just staring at the steering wheel like it had answers. I feel like I'm losing control of the one thing that was supposed to be mine. The bridal shower was supposed to be chill. Just my girls, some snacks, Target gift registry stuff, no pressure. I didn't want anything bougie. No matching robes, no party bus, no bride tribe crap. I just wanted to laugh and hang out and not think about the fact that my entire family was imploding like a dying star. I made one mistake. I didn't tell my mom where it was, but someone else did. Still don't know who. I have theories, but I'm not starting another witch hunt. It could have been my cousin Kara trying to be a peacekeeper, or my aunt, or maybe she bribed the event planner. I wouldn't put it past her. Anyway, we were about 45 minutes in. Someone brought cookie decorating kits. One of my friends brought a bottle of cheap Prosecco with bride vibes scribbled on it in Sharpie. We were doing one of those Who Knows the Bride Best games where they ask dumb stuff like, "What's her Starbucks order?" Mine's a venti iced oat milk chai because I'm basic and I own it. Then she walked in, wearing a white silk pantsuit. A white silk pantsuit with rhinestone buttons. She looked like she was there to present an Oscar. The room went silent, like movie scene silent. I said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "It's my daughter's bridal shower." Why wouldn't I be? No one moved. Then, like she was the hostess, she walked over to the food table, picked up a deviled egg, and said, "Wow, you guys went low-key. I like that. Very minimalist." One of my friends, shout out to Casey who gives 0 Fs, stood up and said, "Actually, this is a closed event." My mom laughed. "What is this, a nightclub?" I said, "I'm asking you to leave." She said, "Why are you being so dramatic?" That's when it clicked for her that no one in the room was coming to her defense, not even the relatives, just silence. Judgmental, awkward silence. She doubled down. She turned to the room and said, "I kid you not. I gave birth to her, and now she thinks I'm not worthy to eat her grocery store cupcakes." I could have died right there. I said, "This isn't about cupcakes. This is about you not listening, ever. Not respecting boundaries, not respecting me." And then she started crying. Real tears this time, but not in a "I'm sorry" kind of way. More like "everyone look at me" kind of way. Like full-on soap opera face-clutching tears. Sobbing into her palm, shaking her head like she was the victim in a viral betrayal TikTok. I walked out. I walked right out of my own bridal shower, sat on the curb outside in my Target sundress, and just stared at a squirrel for like 5 full minutes. Casey came out after me and said, "We kicked her out." I said, "I don't even care anymore. I just want to cancel the whole thing." She said, "Don't. That's what she wants. She doesn't want you to be happy. She wants to be the main character." And that's when it hit me. My whole life I've been the supporting role in her movie. I was the daughter of at events that were supposed to be mine. Birthday parties, she cried at them. Graduations, she gave speeches. Prom, she took more photos than I did. She even made a scrapbook of herself watching me leave for prom. Like, who does that? I went home and told Mark everything. And he said, "We're still getting married. We'll do it in a forest, in a backyard, at a Taco Bell drive-thru. I don't care, but we're not letting her take this from us." So now we're reevaluating everything. Smaller venue, smaller list, maybe a destination elopement. I don't know yet. But what I do know is she's not coming. Not to the wedding, not to the rehearsal, not even to the damn brunch. And now Now my uncle's calling me asking if I'm really okay mentally. Because in this family, choosing peace for yourself equals a mental breakdown. By the time the rehearsal dinner came around, I'd officially become that girl. You know, the one who's estranged from her mother and causing tension and just needs to forgive and move on. Everyone had some opinion. My uncle left me a voicemail that said, "You can still fix this, you're not too far gone." My cousin texted, "I know she's difficult, but family is family." And my dad, my neutral dad, emailed me a YouTube video called "The Importance of Reconciliation at Milestones," like it was a TED Talk that was gonna change my soul. Cool, love that for me. Mark and I agreed to keep the rehearsal dinner tight, just immediate family and the bridal party. His parents were covering the cost, so it was at a decent restaurant, nothing fancy, but it had a wine list longer than the actual menu and chairs that looked like they belonged in a Nancy Meyers movie. Things started off okay, a little tense, but okay. We sat in this private room with one long table. I wore a black dress I hadn't even tried on before because I hadn't had time to care. Mark looked sharp but exhausted, like a man who'd been holding a live wire for 2 weeks straight and was waiting for someone to snip it already. His best man gave a short toast. My maid of honor, Casey, queen of not taking crap, raised a glass. Mark's dad said something awkward but sweet about two families coming together. And then, his mom stood up with a napkin in her hand like it was a monologue prop and said, "I just want to say it breaks my heart that this wedding is happening under a cloud." Everyone froze. She continued, "Families have disagreements, sure, but to disinvite your own mother, it's just not something I understand." Mark immediately put his hand on my leg, not in a cute, supportive way, in a "don't you dare get up" way, like he was bracing for impact. She looked at me. "I've watched my son suffer through this. He loves you and he supports you, but he's been torn, and I don't think you realize what this has done to him." And then she added, "Your mother reached out to me." Oh my God. Apparently my mother emailed her a whole letter, apologizing for how this has impacted the groom's experience and saying she hoped there's still time to undo this terrible rift. Y'all, she's campaigning now. My brain was already on fire when Mark stood up, abrupt, loud, chair screeching against the hardwood. He said, "No, we're done." His mom blinked. "Excuse me?" Mark never raises his voice. This man doesn't even honk at people in traffic, but he raised it now. "We're not doing this guilt parade. Not here, not tonight. I've watched my fiancé cry more this month than in the last 3 years we've been together. I've watched her second-guess every single boundary she set with a woman who's been steamrolling her entire life. And you want to stand up here and make her the villain?" His voice cracked. "She's not the one ruining this. You think this is about an invite? It's about decades of never being allowed to have a moment that wasn't hijacked. And I'll be damned if we let our wedding be one more." Dead silence. His mom opened her mouth and closed it again, and I just sat there, still, quiet, a little stunned, but also weirdly proud, because no one had ever defended me like that. Not without caveats, not with a "but maybe you should still call her," not with a "try to be the bigger person." Just, "You're not wrong, and you don't deserve this." After dinner, people awkwardly said goodnight. A few gave us tight, polite hugs like we were bereaved. Mark's mom didn't even look at me. She just left, quietly, which was honestly the best gift she could have given. We went home and sat in the living room for like 2 hours in total silence, just breathing, just existing. At some point I said, "You didn't have to do that." Mark said, "I did." And then he said, "I love you. I love you enough to have a wedding no one else likes." So yeah, that's where we're at now. The final guest list is printed. My mom's name is not on it. Some people are still pissed. Others are just confused. But we're getting married. No more edits. No more drama. Just us. I woke up on my wedding day with a strange sense of calm. Not joy, not nerves, just stillness. No texts from relatives. No cryptic Facebook statuses. No last-minute drama. For the first time in weeks, the group chats were silent. I thought maybe the universe had finally granted me one normal day. Just one. The ceremony was small. 40 people total. Close friends, Mark's side, a few cousins who actually get it. No DJ, no flower wall. Just a backyard with string lights and rented chairs from a guy named Lenny who runs a party supply shop out of his garage. Casey handed me a mimosa and said, "You ready to pretend your life is together for 20 minutes? I said, "That's what weddings are for." The ceremony itself was beautiful. Simple vows. No cringy inside joke bits, just honesty. At one point, I looked at Mark and thought, damn, I really made it here. I survived her and still found someone who sees me. We kissed. Everyone clapped. Somebody's baby started crying right on cue. It was perfect. Until the reception. The first weird thing was the box. Not a gift-wrapped present, Just a cardboard Amazon box, no label, left on the gift table. Taped shut, no card, no tag, just sitting there like it had always been. My gut dropped immediately. Mark saw my face and said, "Do you want me to throw it away?" I said no. I was too curious. Or maybe I already knew. We opened it. Inside, a photo album, handmade. One of those old school ones with sticky pages and plastic covers, full of pictures, all from my childhood. Me as a baby, me on my first day of school, me at dance recitals, me holding a pet turtle I don't even remember owning. And then there were notes, little captions, in her handwriting. She loved sunflowers when she was 4. She hated this sweater but wore it for me. This was the first time she looked truly happy. This was the moment I realized she didn't need me anymore. I sat down, on the floor, in my wedding dress, just flipping through it like I was trying to find some kind of proof I hadn't imagined everything. The last page had a note. It said, "I know I've made mistakes. I know you think I ruined things. But you were always the best part of me. I hope today is everything I wasn't. Love, Mom." No signature, no dramatic speech, no surprise, I'm here. Just that. I don't know if she dropped it off herself or if someone else did. No one admitted anything. I sat with it for a long time. Mark came and sat next to me. Neither of us said anything for a while. Then I said, "I don't know how to feel." He said, "You don't have to." We danced, we ate, we cut a cake that was 90% frosting and 10% regret. People cried, people laughed. We got drunk on half a bottle of Prosecco and a sense of finally being free. And when it was over, I took that box home. I didn't throw it away, I didn't burn it. It's sitting in the back of my closet behind a stack of old sweaters and boots I never wear. Because no matter what, she's still my mom. But she wasn't at my wedding. And that was my choice. The first real choice I ever made that wasn't about keeping the peace. It was messy. It was painful. But it was mine. And now when I look at our wedding photos, she's not in them. But I am, smiling, actually smiling, like I made it. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, hit subscribe. See you in the next one.